What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Gap here on Fantasy and Frames Wednesday, the 13th of August, 2025. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards, and I got Steve, I got JT, and for those who have been watching with us live this evening, you'll know that this is our second of two live streams that we are doing for Shoot the Gap, where we just had previously covered the AFC North IDP divisional preview, and here today on this episode that you're watching right now, you are listening to the NFC North IDP Fantasy Football preview. So before we get into that, let's get around the frames, and JT, we'll start with you this time. How are you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm full-fledged football. Junior high, just started coaching 6th grade. My son plays running back and outside linebacker. So we started our season 3 weeks ago. We just had our first game on Saturday, won 26-16. Should have won 40-0, but I'm not going to get into details, but we should have rolled by more. It is the good first game, though. We got everybody playing time. Everybody got in there. I'm deep into it. I'm figuring out linebacking, blitzes, different coverages, trying to teach all these kids all the different things. So it's fun. And I was in a family draft with my son 2 years ago. It kind of fell apart. So I started a fantasy football league with my girlfriend, her 2 kids, my son, 2 of my buddies from high school, their sons, and a couple of my girlfriend's son's friends. So we got a 10-team league. We just did our draft on Sunday. We all got together at the bar. They're young, but it's a restaurant too. So the barbecue restaurant that I own. So it's fine. They can be there. It's all right. And so we all got together, did the draft. Everybody had a great time. I'm already getting terrible trade offers from the kids in the league, trying to buy Travis Hunter from me, trying to make all kinds of other moves. So, but it was a great time. I think they're going to have fun. We had a really fun draft. Did it on Sleeper.
Sounds like you had a mini expo on your hands. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, we had a lot going on. So a lot of stuff been going on here lately. Like I said, I had a game, had the draft. I got all my home league drafts and everything else. I basically have a live draft Saturday and Sunday, every Saturday and Sunday until the season starts from now on out. So I'm piling away football games, running right to draft. I got a football game at 11:30 on Saturday, and I got 2 drafts right after it. So I'm going to be sprinting to those 2 drafts, doing all my redraft leagues that I've been in for 20 plus years now here. So good times, man. We're in it now, right? So trying to get that brain adjusted from Dynasty to redraft. That's always a little issue for me. I always want to take the young guys, and then I'm like, maybe don't pass on Alvin Kamara this year. Like, maybe take him instead of the rookie. I don't know. So those are the type of things I always gotta just slightly make that adjustment as we get into redraft season.
Love it. All right, folks, like I said at the top of the show, NFC North IDP Must, Bust, and Sleepers. But you were mentioning drafts, and we have a lot of drafts going on, all of us, included here on the screen, as well as many of you who are tuning in and watching. We got Sean in the chat. What's up, guys? What's up, Sean? And it's funny that
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Hey now. That's a tough guy in the audience. I don't know if I can back that up.
What do you call it? So JT, you mentioning drafts, Sean being in the chat. It just goes hand in hand that I talk about the Shoot the Gap IDP listener league here at Fantasy and Frames. It is on Sleeper. Formerly, it was going to be on ESPN, but the masses have spoken. So it's all IDP, 3 DL, 3 linebacker, 3 defensive backs, and 2 IDP flexes. Dropping the link right now into the YouTube and Facebook chats. So please, we got 2 spots. If I'm looking here, 10-team league, 2 spots remaining. If we get additional interest, we will then bump it up to 12. But for right now, we're going to stick it with 10. And we start our draft 8-hour timer 4 days from today. So looking forward to that. And with that,
Jorge, quick shout out to the Around the Ice podcast. We have our listener league. I know we have some people that listen to the hockey podcast that also listen to the IDP podcast. If you want to get in our Around the Ice listener league here on Fantasy and Frames, shoot us a message. Shoot Jorge a message. You can shoot me one on X at JT Orange. If you're not on X, you need to email me. Feel free to hit me up at jtorange4 at Gmail. If you want this is a beginner league for anybody who just wants to try it out. Be like, hey, I've never been to hockey. I want to try out. a redraft hockey league, feel free to jump in with us, me, Toast, and Aaron Tomatich. Just throwing that out there to anybody in football that maybe wants to give a little shot at hockey. So throwing that out there.
And of course, you can follow Around the Ice at FIF Hockey over on X, as well as on YouTube, where they'll be streaming every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It is literally a gem of a fantasy hockey show, and you also do during the season fantasy bets as well. So a lot of comprehensive coverage there for all you NHL junkies. And again, you can catch that at FIF Hockey, both on Twitter and on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. He says, I'll join. Jamie says, I'll join the hockey only if I can draft Gordon Bombay. I'm sure.
You can draft whoever you want, man. I'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Well, I don't always gonna score you any points, but you can draft whoever you want.
Speaking of Jamie, I just want to give him some props because the Expo weekend was very different for me because I was dragging. I was getting horrible sleep. I was just out of it completely. Here in the middle of the Dick Buttkiss IDP Kings Classic draft with Steve, and I'm like, my eyes are glared over looking at the screen, trying to like set my cue, yada yada yada. Jamie comes over and he's like, "Hey Jorge, I ended up having like an extra coffee. Do you want some coffee?" And I'm like, "What did Steve put in here? What kind of trek is going on here?"
Mix it up.
Mix it up, right? And I'm just like, I'm going to trust Jamie here. Seriously, so helpful, so kind, so thoughtful. Jamie, you are a class act. Thank you so much for that. That just goes to show you the quality of people that we have here in the fantasy football community. So kudos to you. Thank you very much, sir, for that. I will always remember that. And with that, let's get into the before we get into that, let's talk about Trophy Smack. You guys know how much of a big fan I am of Trophy Smack. You see the belt over my shoulder here, right underneath the lamp. Trophy Smack, very rarely do they give you the opportunity to get a percentage off of all their products, but they're giving you one today. You use the promo code Fantasy and Frames 10. That's the number 10, and you get 10% off of any purchase. Trophies, belts, draft kits, banners, rings, anything on their website. Fantasy and Frames 10, get 10% off. Perfect time of year to get your league ready with your league trophy. Perfect time of year to get your league draft kits. You name it, should be fantastic. Just get into it, get ready. And with that, before we get going, also Ultra GM. Steve, real quick, can you give us a little bit Ultra GM talk?
Type in promo code Hunter, find the site Ultra GM, $5 off, $25 gets you 2 teams, 32 team league, 14 team league. You know the drill by now. We've been posting it every other week. Come find us, come play with us, Ultra GM.
All right, let's get into it. Green Bay Packers at the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Steve, who is a must here that you must be drafting for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, it's not what he's done so far. It's how he did it. Just think of Rocky 1 when Sylvester Stallone, and Rocky Balboa. He just wanted to make the distance. He just wanted to be a contender. He wanted to fight with somebody. He wanted to go to distance. Edge Cooper was my sleeper all the way back like Super Bowl time, but I think everyone's starting to catch up to this. So it's not nothing new, but he's a must for me now because it's how he did it. He had a slow start his rookie career, missed a ton of, time during OTAs, during training camp. Took about 6 games for him to even crack the lineup. And even then it was like 40% less defensive snaps. But then he started to come alive during the stretch. I mean, it's funny to say, hey, this guy's a must for me. He's a top 10 player, almost everybody's rankings at linebacker now, right? Because he only had 77 tackles. But the key here is 13 tackles for a loss. This guy's productive. 3.5 sacks, 7 QB hits. But the kicker here, the part I want to kind of emphasize is he did that. He did that 77 tackles on only 491 defensive snaps. So, he's like a Corvette low on E. Give him a little fuel. Give him a little gas. Put some gas in there. Watch him rev up. So when they gave him 55% or more snaps, what was that, like week 14 on? He started getting the boom. He played 90% of snaps against the Bears. You've seen that game take off. But I'm pretty sure this guy now is on everybody's radars. And you have to draft him in the LB10 category. So if you're playing sleeper, you can catch up on that ADP a little bit. But yeah, most sharks know Cooper's your guy. Cooper's your long-term guy, and he's in every down role this year.
Love it, love it, love it. JT, Steve just talked about Edrin Cooper. What does that mean? And I know we didn't prep for this, but what does that mean for Quay Walker, in your opinion?
I'm a little iffy on Quay Walker. He keeps getting playing time, but it seems like the Packers don't like him that much. I mean, he's had some issues, with his attitude, how he's kind of he's had a lot of pretty bad personal foul penalties. If you want to go back and look at some of the stuff, Hopper from Missouri was a guy when they actually took him early after they took Cooper. I was like, oh, this is a bad side for Quay Walker if they're drafting 2 inside linebackers that play the same position as supposedly your stud. I have a feeling they don't have any. I don't think they want to re-sign him. I do not think they want to give him a big deal. I think they're worried about it. So Quay Walker redraft, I think you'd still be on him. I'm a little worried about him dynasty long-term wise. I really am. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just feel like Quay Walker, whenever the team's kind of giving you those hints that they don't like a player, I was like, I feel like you got to listen a little bit. And they keep drafting guys that seem to play the position that the guy they have is supposed to be their stud. So I'm out on Quay Walker. It's not that I won't take him. I'm just waiting until he drops. If he drops to me, I'm getting really good value, I'll take him, but I'm definitely not overdrafting him.
Got a question here from the chat from Gunham Boy 2019. Steve, why don't you take this one? Quay Walker or Frankie Louvu in IDP 1-2-3 scoring?
So this is kind of one of those polarizing figures. This is kind of, a take that maybe not everybody gets. Frankie Louvu is not a good tackler. He's just not. I mean, shots fired, 8.6 tackle efficiency. That's on the realm of defensive backs, particularly free safeties. He's not a good tackler. If you have Frankie Louvu, you are banking on the assessment. All those pass rushes are going to convert to sacks. That's how you're playing him. Quay Walker is still in the third down role, and I'm not a fan of Quay Walker either. He hobbled into camp injured, but he's still wearing the green dot, so that's a guy right there. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Here's a two-parter. I like this question. Why am I talking tackle so much? 1-2-3 scoring is set up to be balanced. 1-2-3 is set up for 3 major categories, right? 1 being, your QB hits, 3 being your bigger plays, 2 being your tackles. Why do I care so much about tackles? Because just like a tackle premium league, right? In big play scoring be different, but just like a tackle premium league, 1-2-3 scoring is incredibly generous, giving you the only format giving you 2 points a tackle. So I'm still coveting those linebackers there. I'm still coveting my tackle guys there. So yeah, I'm definitely taking Quay Walker without question, and I'm punting Frankie Louvu a little bit down the board. Now, if it was big play, we could have a better conversation about that. But yeah, that's my take on Frankie Louvu. I'm not as high as the consensus would be.
All right, JT, who is your bust here for the Green Bay Packers?
This is a guy, it just seemed like I never get the value out of him. It's like he's had a good name. He just never seems to perform where you want him to. And so for me, I just find myself passing on him constantly. And that's Rashawn Gary. It's just like he's been injured. He gets you okay numbers, but it feels like he disappears way too often for a guy that has the name recognition he does. So he's just one of those guys for me. There's just so many other defensive ends I'd rather take. There's so many other guys I'd rather have. It just his inconsistency. And again, I was on the Rashawn Gary train early on in his career. I was like, oh man, I think this guy can be really good. I had a ton of shares of him all over the place. And I think I'm out. I just really am. Especially where he's going, where he gets drafted. If you pull up the numbers from the last couple of years, and even the rankings are starting to finally come around. If you look at Fantasy Pros rankings right now for this year, they have him as a D lineman number 47. 47. And I don't even love him at 47. Everybody around him in that mix, I like better. I like Byron Young better. I like Chop Robinson better. I like Will McDonald better. Even old Cam Hayward, I like better. So it's just, I don't think he's a terrible player, but for me, he's a guy I'm avoiding unless I'm just getting him and everyone else is avoiding him too. And I get him for crazy cheap costs. It just doesn't seem like he performs where you're hoping to every year. So Rashawn Gary's my guy I'm out on.
All right, and then my sleeper here. This is a little, I don't want to say a hot takey, but there is a method to my madness here, and it's especially helpful in those that play in cornerback specific leagues, and that's Keyshawn Nixon. In 2024, he played the most snaps among all cornerbacks on the Green Bay Packers, and allowed a team leading 99.7 quarterback rating when targeted. He's one of these players that is like, his poor on the field play makes him a target to opposing offenses, and therefore you have the upside, and you are using him and drafting him and inserting him into your lineup during flex weeks as a pure high upside PBU. That's pass breakups or pass defended, interception upside players. Again, not somebody that you want, not the two metrics, you kind of want to, stake claim on. But in terms of the value you could get for him in a cornerback specific league, given how bad he's played from an NFL perspective, from a real perspective, he definitely presents that upside there at defensive back for the Green Bay Packers. All right, let's get over to now.
I was going to say real quick, Jorge, sorry to get you here. I know we were trying to move along on this one. I know me and Steve talked about this a little bit. Mm-hmm. He is a really iffy cornerback pick and play this year. If you're in a league that does special teams, he is absolutely crushed for you the last couple of years. If you get special team points with him playing defense, the question is, he's been playing the slot corner and special teams, and now the word in camp is he wants to be a number one cover corner. And that's where I'm real nervous. Me and Steve got into this.
He doesn't want to play special teams.
He doesn't want to play special teams. It kills me because I'm like, that's his whole value is he plays special teams and gets thrown at a ton, right? It's like people go after him, and he played slot corner. It was great. It was like the perfect little mix. It's almost like this is a little bit different. But remember, oh my God, now as soon as I'm going to make the comparison, I blank. Chicago Bears. Kick punt returner. Oh my gosh, I'm killing myself. My friends are murdering me for not knowing this. Devin Hester. When Devin Hester all of a sudden decided that he wanted to be a full-time wide receiver and didn't want to kick and punt return
kick him off the show. He doesn't know who Devin Hester is. I know who Joe Montana is. Let's kick him up. There he is. He's gone. Forget it.
That's I'm gonna get murdered by my Bears fans. I can't even believe I blanked on Devin Hester.
Have you seen Jorge's face when he's like, wow.
Yeah, dude, I can't, it was like he was in my head, and then when I went to say it, I just went blank. I was like that kid that's like standing in front of the class, and they're like, oh, give your speech, and I'm like, I have it memorized, and I'm like, that's exactly what just happened to me. Devin Hester just melted out of my brain. But it's like when Devin Hester was like, no, you know what, I think I should be a full-time wide receiver, and you're like, but dude, you're so good at all these other things, and you're not a great wide receiver. Like, why would you do that to yourself? That's where I'm at with Nixon. If he ends up being, I think he still, like Jorge said, he's still a sleeper. If he plays special teams and plays nickel slot, like he scored so many more points than anyone else in that position last year. But if he ends up becoming the number one corner like he wants to be, which I don't know that the Packers are going to do that. That if he wants to do that and not play special teams, man, I just feel like that hurts his value big time.
Very good points all around. All right, let's go to the Minnesota Vikings. JT, why don't you stick around and give us your musts here for the Vikings?
Never going to live down the Devin Hester there. I'm still upset at myself. But all right, we'll move on to the Vikings here. So my two musts, depending on where you want to go here, I think Jonathan Grenard is just a beast. At D end, the Vikings show they can bring pressure. He has been phenomenal there. I think Grenard's the guy. If you're in a tackle-heavy league, Blake Cashman. I know he's like underrated in a lot of circles. I like Blake Cashman. I think Steve likes Blake Cashman me more than a lot of people. If you're in a tackle-heavy league, Cashman, I think, is the guy you want on this team. But defensive end-wise, Grenard, again, the production compared to the name value, I think is super underrated. I just think he is way better than I think he gets credited for guys that put up his production. So that's where I'm on that.
So and I know I'm trying to keep us on track here, but I need to bring this up here. So Jamie says, I'm getting kicked out of the chat for being unruly. Guess I'll take my talents to the strip club where throwing singles is encouraged. 3 a.m. Wednesday morning, the day before I start heading out to the expo, I get a message from him saying, I can't wait to hang out with you, to do this and do this. If you arrive early, you come over to the house so we can go to the strip club. The guy is like, he is not joking, folks, when he says he's going to go throw some dollar bills at some.
Jamie, if you ever make it to Indy, we'll go to a Colts game. I'll take you around Indy some spots that we used to frequent way back in the day. I'll take you some spots, Jamie, especially since you got me those Travis Hunter Jags jerseys, which are fantastic, by the way. So I owe you. If you get to Indy, let me know. We'll go to a game, and I'll take you some of the Indy joints.
Jamie, if you're getting bored, Sean Teague's in the chat. We were on his show, the IDP Nation. Me and Mace. We were getting a little rowdy on that show, weren't we, Sean? We were talking from Chris Jones' combine, if you catch my drift. We were getting very, very ludicrous. So, Jamie, if you get bored enough, hook up with Sean. We'll go to the expo. We'll find another party for you, okay?
Love it. All right, let's go to my bust here for the Minnesota Vikings. And this sucks to say, but it's true. It's Ivan Pace. Blake Cashman, he is the definitive LB1 here for the Minnesota Vikings. You see the snaps favor just one big linebacker, or one linebacker, excuse me, in this defense, let alone for IDP purposes. You look at on top of that, Ivan Pace, he's facing an uphill battle in snaps, and it's not helping the fact that he grades very poorly in coverage. So him staying on all three downs on the field is not helping him either. So given the scheme here that Minnesota and Brian Flores likes to run, excuse me, with having more defensive backs in the secondary and utilizing one linebacker a majority of the time. Unfortunately, Ivan Pace, everyone's favorite undrafted free agent from the University of Cincinnati a couple years ago, until that coverage grade gets, improved upon and he gives them no reason why he should be kept off the field, or if there's a injury to Cashman and he steps on, I still think he's a bust, because again, it's that liability in coverage that takes him off the field on third downs, which, you're not going to get the return in value that you would have had if you had Cashman on your team here. Steve, anything to comment on that real quick?
You know what I hate most about Ivan Pace?
What's that?
He gets me nothing in lineups, but yet he's in all my taxis. Like I have him well, maybe he'll be that 12 tackle guy again. Like most IDPs, I can just toss and play 3 down. But yeah, that's a guy there that's just clogging a spot that I could have a quarterback that, needs some tools, needs some refining, some wide receiver, running back. Usually I don't keep IDPs, but somebody like Pace, I'm like, he could jump in there and leapfrog everything. He's one injury away. A lot of these Vikings, there's a lot of one injury away type of players,
No, sure. All right. Who's the sleeper here for the Vikings here, Steve?
Yeah. So again, another injury away. That's why you don't hear his name much. It's Dallas Turner. And let's talk about Dallas Turner real quick. So with Dallas Turner, the case on him is, remember that his college year, wasn't that long ago? He was among the Power 5 defenders. Turner ranked 7th in total pressures. He was 4th in sacks with 11. Pressures 55, as I mentioned. He was 4th in win pass rush rate, 32.5. But what happened last year? Nothing. You didn't see much from him because he was buried on the depth chart, much like your guy, Ivan Pace. They're just buried. But there's signs of life. You can hear the heartbeat. Ba-boom, ba-boom. There's a pulse here. The last 4 games of the season, it told a different story. His snap count percentage jumped from nothing to something, all of a sudden 37% during the stretch. And he rewarded owners with 2 sacks. I say it again. Within 4 games, he had 2 sacks. So, you got to look beyond week 9, the film. That's where it got kind of interesting, kind of neat. That's why I have him as a sleeper. PFF had him, they credited him with 17 snaps of rushing. And out of those 17 snaps, 45 of those were pure pass rush. And I'm just thinking if 2025 is a new story, what did the Vikings do? It's the same old defense. They love the blitz, right? You got Jonathan Allen, a mountain of a man they brought in. They also got Javon Hargrove. Remember him? Another mountain of a man. So they're going to be eating up blocks so these guys can get off the line of scrimmage. So yeah, Dallas Turner to me, 1 injury away from being an impact player. So he's my sleeper.
Very nice.
I love
Sure.
that call because if you're trying to go get like a Jared Verse, you're gonna have to spend a ton of draft capital to get him. Dallas Turner's your steal. You're probably getting Verse. It's gonna be really hard to get. Latu from the Colts, next. Turner was right there. Those guys were considered the top 3 pass rushers. Turner's the guy you're getting that second year dip on. I'm all over the second year dip with Steve.
I was a Verse guy in that draft class just because I went back 2 years. Sometimes I like to go back, just to tell the whole story. But most sites, most esteemed colleagues, they were all pouting Dallas Turner. So to your point, he has pedigree.
All right, let's go to the Motor City, talk about the Detroit Lions, and I'll kick us off with a pair of musts here, one of which it kind of goes without saying, and I say that even though he had this, freak leg injury last year. That's Aiden Hutchinson. Look,
Never heard of him.
Yeah, have you? Yeah, he may be a little bit underrated. Never mind, I take that back. But look, this guy is a beast. He was leading Fantasy Pros scoring 15 points per game. Throughout while he was on the field. Again, had that bad leg injury in versus Dallas, I believe. If the coaches and the medical staff say he's good to go, I'm trusting it. I'm going with it. And even if he doesn't give me a dominant LB or DL 1 overall finish, I guarantee you he's going to get you a top 12. And either way, that's still a DL 1, maybe just not the DL 1. So I'm all about Aiden Hutchinson. I'm not gonna be scared off by that. Now, if they tell me he may be a couple weeks until he's good to go, okay, he's a must at value then, wherever he's dropping there in your drafts, because either way, he's somebody that I'm definitely for the Detroit Lions coming away with. And the second one is Jack Campbell. Again, using Fantasy Pros IDP scoring, he was averaging 10 fantasy points per game last year. Fun fact, he was the LB24 in solo tackles last season, had a missed tackle rate of only 7.5%. He's getting green dot usage here throughout the offseason, meaning he's going to be the defensive play caller on the field, aka he's not coming off of the field. They invested a first-round draft capital in him a couple seasons ago, along with Jahmyr Gibbs in that draft. Everybody's like, you're drafting a running back and a linebacker in the first round. You're crazy. And it's like, no, are they so crazy now? Hindsight, hindsight, of course, being 2020 with what it is. Alex Anzalone, not the guy anymore. They want to put all the pressure and all the roles here on Jack Campbell, and I think he has potential to do very well for fantasy purposes. JT, and we'll go to Steve. Your thoughts on Campbell?
Yeah, I like Campbell. Again, sometimes we just bail on guys too early. If they don't come in and hit right away, we're like, I'm out on that guy. I think this is set up for him to have a big year this year. I mean, they're looking towards him. There's not a lot of guys around him that you're like, oh, if he falters this a little bit, this guy's going to steal a job. I don't think that's the case. I think they're in on Campbell. Hutchinson, the only thing that pushes Hutchinson from being the number 1 overall IDP player for me is the injury last year and how he recovers. I mean, it was a brutal injury. I mean, we hope he recovers because, man, that was ugly. But if he comes back, man, if he wouldn't have had the injury, he would be, I think, the clear-cut IDP 1. I'm probably buying the dip in some leagues. If you got starter leagues, a new league or a redraft, and he's kind of dropping because people just aren't sure, now's the time to probably buy him. Because I don't think he'll ever be this cheap again unless he legitimately can't come back. And that would be the only way I think he'll be cheaper than he is this year.
Similar thoughts there, Steve?
Yeah, same exact thing. I don't have anything else to add except for I think you have it right. I think it's Campbell and then Anzalone 1 and 2.
All right, well, who should the people be avoiding here from the Detroit Lions here, Steve?
Okay, sit around, young IDP players. Grandpa Hungarter wants to tell you a little IDP story. Back in my day, you ready for it? This is the part of the show where we get bored. You guys seen the general manager of the Falcons, Terry Fontenot? You see how he moved up in this year's 2025 draft. He moved up to round 1. And what did he do? He was in hot pursuit. He traded up to get back into the draft so he can have Jalen Walker on one side and James Pierce on the other side. Right? And that was controversial. Well, here's where the old timer story back in my day, get off my lawn, comes into play. He did it before. He did it with the New Orleans Saints when he made the bold move all the way back in 2018. He did the same exact method, and he got his guy, and he traded up with the Packers with the 14th pick overall. And you didn't hear too much about the Saints because that guy busted. And my bust right now for the Lions is Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport, he spent 5 seasons with the Saints, putting up pot roast, meatloaf, whatever we want to say, numbers. Then he appeared in just 4 games with the Vikings. The most games Davenport's ever played was 15 all the way back in 2022. So he doesn't really have a convincing career for me. And Davenport is kind of painted a story of the player that he is at this point in his career. Take away that one season, that 2021 season when he had 9 sacks. Let's go back the last 3 years because that tells a good body of work. He's only produced 3 sacks in the last 3 seasons. So that's pretty telling. So, yeah, if you were to want me to tell you a little story, you want to sit on, Grandpa IDP Hunter's porch and drink some moonshine, we'll go back in the Wayback Machine. Like, remember Family Guy, the Wayback Machine? We'll go back and tell some stories. I'm going to tell you about Marcus Davenport, the player that never was.
I'm okay with the slandering of pot roast. I think we've all, but meatloaf, come on, man. What's good? What's wrong with a good meatloaf? I'm just
Well,
saying.
Speaking of meatloaf, I will do anything for love, but I won't draft Marcus Davenport.
There you go. I love it. All right, JT.
I think Will Ferrell.
That was fantastic.
Where's the meatloaf?
Where's the meatloaf?
Jorge's right.
Meatloaf
I always saw that story. My girlfriend, I was like, "Wow, where's the meatloaf at?" And her daughter's like, "What is he talking about meatloaf? Are we eating meatloaf for dinner?" Like freaking out because I'm quoting the movie. She's like trying to explain it, and then she's like, "Well, she's not gonna get this at all. I'm just not even gonna explain it because I'm always yelling, 'Mom, where's the meatloaf?'"
Love it. JT, here are some sleepers to the Lions.
So I'm going 2 of the most hated IDP positions there are: defensive tackle and free safety. So these are my sleepers. I know it seems hard with me because that's what I do. One of my sleepers, Tyreek Williams out of Ohio State in a defensive tackle start league. I don't love the interior players, but I love the defensive ends for the Lions. I think he has a shot to maybe make some stuff happen on the interior. I don't know how good of a pass rusher he is in what he's going to do at the NFL level, but I am taking some shots at him in some leagues, either with my last pick in my rookie draft, or I'm picking up first waiver wire run. I'm picking him up in some IDP leagues where I got to start a defensive tackle just to see if he can make something happen because it's such a hard position. So many defense tackles don't score anything. I mean, you're looking at a couple guys and then nobody. So to me, he's worth a shot as a first round pick. They obviously believed in him with a lot of guys there. I think it was probably one of the weakest positions on this defense was defensive tackle. So I like that in the fact that I think he can move right in. So that's why I like him. The other guy, and I got to, give some love to my former Illini, Kirby Joseph. Just got a new contract, free safety. Usually we're anti-free safety in IDP. Guy led the league in picks last year, was an absolute beast. Tackle heavy leagues, not gonna kill it for you. But if you get desperate waiting on DB, he's a guy that could get you some points, especially in turnover heavy leagues where you get a lot of points for interceptions, passes defense, that type of thing. Kirby Joseph, obviously Brian Branch is the guy to own in the secondary, clear cut, the guy to own. But Kirby Joseph, if you miss out and you just wait on DB, for me, he's a guy that can be thrown in your lineup. Is there a chance he's going to give you some bad weeks? Yes, but there's a chance he could really hook you up in high point interception leagues and pass defense leagues because he does get takeaways, and teams are going to challenge the Lions downfield. They just are. So that's why Kirby Joseph, he's my sleeper. If you're looking for somebody late and you missed out on all the, box safeties and all the slot corners, and you're like, God, I just got to have a safety that can do something. Kirby Justice is a guy you can throw in there.
All right. Let's keep the train rolling, JT. Let's go to now final team in the division, the Chicago Bears. Who are some musts or a must here for you for the Chicago Bears?
To me, it's been this guy for a couple years now, and that's TJ Edwards, linebacker for the Bears. He's just been super consistent. I mean, he's just been in there year to year ever since they traded away Roquan Smith. They've had to have somebody else kind of fill the void. And I tell you what, losing Roquan's a huge loss.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. No,
that's a great advice. And even though they switched Edmonds to the box, and then you had Edwards on the line of scrimmage, I still favor Edwards over Edmonds. How about you, Jorge?
Yeah, I Edmonds to me has always been somebody who, people talk about the draft capital and they talk about him in Buffalo, and it's like they speak more highly of him than they should be. Like, he never really has done something that is like mind blowing. He's like that 50-50 guy and solo to assist. He doesn't do anything. And even the volume fades. It has been inconsistent from year to year. So it's kind of like they bring him over here. I don't know why they got both Edwards and him at the insane lucrative contracts that they have him. But yeah, for me, it's Edwards clear cut.
So on that note, the preseason, I like to watch preseason because it's really telling how the train set moves, how the players profile. Edmonds is more of that coverage, run around, making athletic. He's the karate kid, who the bad boy of Karate Kid Part 3. He's that guy.
Barnes.
And then you got Edwards, who just makes the tackle. He's your Ralph Macchio. He's just going to do the job, get the heck out of there, right? You know what I mean? I can see you just fine, my friend. But yeah, everything is good with them. During preseason camp, though, Edmonds has been like the dime defender going back, and he's made like 4 picks in two games. So I think that's why he's the Mike. But I think Edwards is still going to be your tackle guy. I don't know how you see it, JT, but I like it, Edwards.
To me, Edwards is the guy to own. Terrell Edmonds, he's athletic, he's nice, but Edwards is the guy. Edwards is the guy that's going to get the tackles. He's the most consistent guy on this group. And again, he'll go pretty high in drafts, but I also think his name, he doesn't, TJ Edwards, he doesn't have the name recognition of some of these other guys, but he's putting up the same statistics. If you're going to lose a Roquan Smith, getting a guy who's maybe 3 or 4 spots behind him in the linebacker rankings, to me, is a nice, secondary option. So I like TJ Edwards. He's a guy I'm getting in a lot of drafts just because people are kind of like, oh, I want the really, sexy names. I want the Parsons. I want the TJ Watts. I want the Roquan Smiths. I want the Nick Bosa's. And then you're getting TJ Edwards for a decent price.
Love it. All right, let's go to now a sleeper here for the Chicago Bears.
So let me vent to you real quick. This drafts are supposed to be fun. This is a stressful time of year for me. It really is. I have 9 drafts going on right now. They're all meaningful. I have 2 drafts with John Macri going on right now. I have 3 or 4 with Gary Davenport. I have 1 with Dr. Roto. Bob Harris is in the one with Gary. And then, of course, Sean Teague's in the chat. I got 2 going on with him. It's a stressful time. I'm not having fun right now. I probably missed picks as we're speaking, right? I'm like a cat, JT, with the little ball. That's me right now. I'm all over.
Steve, I've made 4 picks in my draft since we started this show. So I understand where you're at, dude. I'm in the same thing. Like my computer's got stuff jumping up and making me like, oh, you're on the clock. You're on the clock.
I'm trying to give you 100% of me, but I probably auto pick. But it's a stressful time, and I'm going against chess players. I will give you my sleeper. Hopefully Sean covers his ears. I'm looking at some of these chats. I'm in the 19th round on one, the 32nd the other. This guy is not being taken. So if you guys believe in this player, or at least you're looking for like a DL3 with DL2 upside, this can be a guy for you. Let me tell you, and the name is even hard to pronounce, so you might be able to get him for people that are trying to type his name in. Deo Odengbo. He played with the Colts last year. He was a 2nd-round pick. At one point, people thought he was a bust because he only had 0.5 sacks in first 2 seasons. And his metrics aren't that good. But guess what he did last year? He outplayed rookie Latu. And he had a career year with 8 sacks in 2023. One thing he provides is those guaranteed snaps. He had 745 snaps last year. Let me say it again. 745 snaps last year. He's penciled in as the starter now, opposite of Montez Sweat. It's the same business as he had last year. So if you're looking for an 8-sack defender, not you, Sean, you don't get an 8-sack defender. I do. But if you're looking for an 8-sack defender, and the best part of all, he's free. That's my sleeper.
I absolutely love this as a Colts fan. Adebayo, he tore his Achilles in the pre-draft process coming out of Vanderbilt. They still took him in the second round when he was considered a high early first-round pick. Colts still took him, so that's why he got off that slow start to his career. He was better than Kwity Paye last year. He was better than Latu last year. I mean, he really was as far as pass rushing. I hate to say this. This might seem crazy, but I think he's the best pass rusher on the Bears this year. I really do. I think he's a steal.
This one. You'll appreciate this one. He's a butterface, Jorge. He's got everything going on but the face, but the analytics. You're welcome for that. You might need to edit that, whatever. But yeah, he's a butterface.
He is the best, like, just free guy or pick up free agency, like waiver wire. I love that pick because I really think he's going to have an impact. And the fact is, the coaching staff, they're aware of him. They kind of know who he is. I think he's actually going to be very solid on this Bears unit. I think he plays more too. He was in that rotation in Indy where they just were rotating DNs all the time. I think he's going to see more consistent play in Chicago. This is one of my favorite sleepers because this is a deep sleeper that no one is got their eyes on. I love it, Steve.
We know who else is somebody that they should not have their eyes on, and that's Montez Sweat, the bust here for the Chicago Bears.
Ooh, nice transition.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. When you look amongst edge rushers rankings and total pressures last year, he was among the edge rushers in the 30 and below club. When you look at the quarterback hit metrics, he was in the 40 and below club. So one of the things we like to talk about here for defensive linemen is you don't always go off of sacks. There are other metrics that for IDP Fantasy Football give you points, like the tackles for a loss or the quarterback hits, like things to pay attention to there. This guy gives you none of that. We saw, 2 seasons ago when he was playing half the season with the Commanders and then got traded to Chicago. He had 64 pressures, 16 sacks. Then he goes to last season, 49 pressures and 6 sacks. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good to put up good stats when you have a decent defensive line, isn't it? And you go to a team that does not have a decent defensive line, things kind of don't look good your way. So just something to pay attention to there. I like the call there for your sleeper there. So yeah, so that's going to do it, folks, for Shoot the Gap for the IDP preview of the NFC North. And any parting words before we get out of here, Steve?
No, I don't have anything. You covered everything real well. Thanks, guys, for having me on yet again. And appreciate the camaraderie. And let's do it again next week, right, with the AFC South?
With the AFC South. We've got a question here in the chat from Scouting Profiles. Deo or Yaya at Dia? I love Yaya Diaby. It's hard for me to say. I just don't know. Yaya
is the higher rated guy. If you're gonna draft, go Yaya and then get Dia later. Like, you can get him way later, way cheaper, probably off of waivers. But you're probably going to need to get Yaya earlier. So I would go Yaya, then Dio. I like them both, but Yaya is probably the pick.
I'd say the same thing. I've said this on previous shows. Yaya finished top 20, 57 pressures. He had 14.6 pressure rate, ranking 12th amongst pass rushers. He's your guy. He just didn't connect on as many sacks as he could have. Each year, it fluctuates back and forth. So just, I don't invest in sacks. I don't draft players for the previous season. So, yeah, look for him to rebound off that.
All right, folks. Well, like Steve was talking about, we'll be here next week at our normal time at 9 p.m. Eastern for the AFC South. Head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out our rankings. JT, your IDP rankings should be uploaded pretty soon, I think, right? And then I
will have rankings this week. I've been way behind. Like I said, the junior high football started the last 3 weeks. I've been crazy busy with that, but school started today, which means the kids aren't here every morning. So this week, the next couple of days, I'm going to knock out a ton of stuff when they're not home in the middle of the day. So yes, my IDP rankings will be up by this weekend. And I got a couple articles coming down the pike as well this week.
Nice. And of course, we're talking about our divisional IDP fantasy football previews, and we got our regular non-IDP related fantasy football previews over at fantasyandframes.com. Also next week, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have our monthly show of Dynasty 365. We took a little break this past couple months, but we're back. We're going to be doing once a month here with Aiden and JT and myself, and then back with Shoot the Gap. Again, I teased about 3 weeks ago a potential for a fourth member of Shoot the Gap joining us.
Do tell.
I will tell as soon as I get confirmation, but it is coming. A yes or a no is on its way. So I may have some really awesome information, or I just may switch the topic to meatloaf, because I love me some meatloaf. Anywho, for Steve, for JT, I'm Jorge.